Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of This Is My Offer. Today, we have got a very premier guest from our premium partnership, Dr. Mr. Aamir Chaudhry. Aamir, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would love to be promoted to a doctor, but yeah, my name is Aamir Chaudhry. I'm the director of autonomous mobility and electrification. I've been with Capgemini for about 3 years. Prior to that, I worked for General Motors, and not only in software development but also in advanced technologies and particularly in ADAS space. So a variety of experience, pretty diverse automotive background. In fact, all of it is automotive background. So,
No?
so yeah,
Yeah, that's the reason it kind of resonated that you're probably already a doctor in this area. But
I'll
uh,
take that.
Sounds good. So, as we get started in the DASV, we're here to talk about your offer on DASV, and I don't want, I'll let you introduce what it's all about. But before we get started, can you give us some semblance of demand signals or business imperatives from our customers that prompted Capgemini to actually build out the whole DASV solution offering?
Yeah. So as you can understand, as most people know, that the ADAS space is growing exponentially as the customers become more and more aware of the safety aspects. Safety has become a number one priority for the customers,
Yeah.
and so it started, if you recall, all the way back with seat belts,
Yep.
and then the ABS brakes, and then later on, as the time went by, with the introduction of EPS, which is the electric power steering.
Right.
Once that came in, that opened up the new, the Pandora's box, where you could actually go ahead and add so many safety features.
Hmm.
So the lane keep assist was one
Right.
of them, where it started with, just a chime when you're, traveling outside of the lane. And then later on, hey, you know what? How about if we nudge the driver back into the lane? And so the LK became an important feature, and it kept on building and building. So from level 0 all the way to level 2 plus, where we are,
Mhm.
the safety features for ADAS has become very, very important for the customer, and they're willing to pay for the safety. Yeah. And so as the time went by, what we understood was that this has become a very, very critical safety component,
Right.
and we cannot have events on the road, not at a system level or at a component level. So overall, it has to be absolutely safe. And since it is a safety critical item, we have to collect a lot of data. And so, in order to uh, help the OEMs and tier ones build a safe system, we embarked on making sure that we have enough data to provide it to them so that they can go ahead and do their validation and train their models. And
Right.
it may be a little bit of a longer answer, but um, it became very important as time went by that we understand and train the models and
Mhm.
build some intelligence on them. And that is all based on corner cases and collecting millions and millions of miles of data. And I'll give you kind of an example.
Mhm.
If you and there was an event like this that happened, a few years ago. When you look at a bridge,
Mhm.
and if you look at a bridge which is a overpass bridge, it looks like a box,
Mhm.
right? So if your vehicle is coming through which is in autonomous mode, it's looking at it, it's a box, okay, but it is a bridge, and it has to pass through. It doesn't put the brakes on, it goes through, right? Now, what happens if there's a semi that turned over?
Right.
Okay, and the container is
Mhm.
close to that bridge, and it also looks like a box.
Correct.
And now the vehicle is going to struggle trying to make a decision, and it ends up. What if it ends up going through the
Yeah.
box, thinking it's just like a bridge, and it did. and there are some pictures you may find,
Mm.
and it would go through. Therefore, it is extremely important to have the data,
Mhm.
and then have the models trained according to the data that we collect. And so, and there's many other cases as well. If you have, depending on the level of autonomy,
Right.
if you have a level 4, let's say a semi truck, which is driving down the road, it's a robot essentially,
Right.
and there is a cut-in from a motorbike
Mhm.
without any intelligence or trained model. The vehicle may go ahead and have an abrupt stop, which
Right.
could end up in a collision itself. But if you have an AI trained model based
Right.
on the data, it may start looking at, hey, there's a vehicle on the right or the left. There could be a potential cut in. Therefore, there may be a more defined braking in play. So this became very apparent to us that we need to have a lot of data that we need to collect. We need to build an offer around it to have the OEMs kind of comprehend all of the data, train that data,
Mhm.
and make the system safe. So that was a kind of a background relative to what made us get into the building of this offer.
Okay, I think that's a great introduction to the whole industry itself and what trends and how it actually came to where you're building the offer. And as you're building the offer, as we are, in the pre-production side where we're ingesting the data from all the news that are going out to labeling it, creating those fantastic scenarios. Uh, how does AWS and Capgemini, when they started building the offers, can you go a little bit deeper into the details of the features, and how does this actually come alive, right? All the way from ingestion to now training the neural net models inside of the car, and then pushing it back into the car. And
Yeah,
what does DASV cover, and what are the features that OEMs can get excited about that they don't have to build because you guys have already built it and ready to go?
yeah. So, Ajit, there is a link that we have provided for the demo
Great.
that we have done a couple of years ago in Vegas, and it was a live demo,
Mhm.
which actually showcased uh, the DASV solution, a driving
Mhm.
automation system validation solution. And what we have is a couple of vehicles. One vehicle is in United States, the other one is in Munich, Germany, and they were providing a live feed. So what we use is what we call like a mini logger, which is
Mhm.
in the vehicle. So it's hooked up to the sensor suites, in this particular case to the camera, and it provides it's essentially collecting the data, and this it is shipping it off via 5G connectivity
Mhm.
over to the AWS cloud machine, right? And
Mhm.
that's where we have developed an AWS setting a couple of tools. One
Mhm.
is called the Ranger, the
Mhm.
other one is called the Trackster.
Yeah.
So now the Ranger is utilizing AWS AppSync, and essentially it is used for annotation and labeling.
Right.
And the beauty of that is that you can actually see it live happening when in the demo. You can see the bounding boxes getting
Right.
created, annotated. It's getting live, and multiple teams from various regions can actually work
Right.
on that tool. And then we have what is called a trackster, and it's
Mhm.
essentially a tool which is keeping track of where the vehicle is, what kind of a temperature setting is there, all the parameters that one would need. Is it a urban setting, or you've been driving on freeways, and the whole gamut. You can see it
Right.
in a dashboard. So those are the tools that we actually provide, and which are built on AWS, utilizing their tool chain.
Yeah.
That data then can be provided to a OEM, and we are actually providing that kind of a data to various OEMs, both local as in United States as well as in Europe, where they take that data, digest it, and sometimes they tell us, "Hey, annotate it, label it for us." Other times they've taken this raw data, and to
Right.
train their models. So it is, as you know, it's an accelerator, right?
Right.
And it provides a lot of detail.
Mhm.
Now you don't have to worry about, a latency of, few days where you collect the data on your and save it, and then you upload it, and then that you're getting live all of that data. And the beauty is that we've been able to, along with AWS, work on these tools which have made things much simpler and much easier. Yeah.
No, no, that's super fascinating, and I would encourage the audience to take a. If you want to dive deep, do take a look at that video. It is very exciting. It is really cutting edge. And Amir, I actually had the opportunity to actually see the mule in Hanover Messe when I was there a couple of years ago as well. So it was really fascinating. And we also talked about sustainability and how does all of that come into picture in the context of safety. So it was really a fascinating talk back at Hanover. So coming back to the offering here, now that they understand, one of the things that I'm hearing from you that you work very closely with the customer on where the customer journey is around these offerings. Can you tell a little bit more detail around if a customer wanted to engage with Capgemini to start off, how would the conversation start? And if you could share some perspective of how who they can connect with to take the conversation forward.
So Ajit, really good question. The way it works out is that the need is already there. The customers are looking for it. Okay.
Okay.
And right now, we are running a lot of campaigns. We're running campaigns in about 60 countries,
Wow.
yeah, globally, where we have our teams locally driving vehicles, and and there's a lot involved in it. I mean, it's not it's easily said, but
Yeah.
and I'll give you an example. I mean, if you run a campaign,
Hmm.
you run into so many different complicated issues from country to country. You could have a vehicle that is getting shipped and gets stuck in a country, let's say a third world country, and you got to figure out how to get it out of customs, right?
Yes.
And so we have a lot of expertise built around that, and the industry knows about our capabilities. They're aware that Capgemini is number one. It comes to collecting data globally, especially in the ADAS space. And it also stems from the fact, Ajit, that we have about 7,000 engineers that are engaged in various projects globally in the ADAS space.
Wow.
So the industry is well aware that where we come from, what kind of expertise we have. So they would actually come to us and they
Hmm.
would say, okay, we want to run a campaign across that many countries, or just North America, okay, or go do it for 50 states, all right, and we will, and here where we can come in and help out the OEMs or tier ones, that we can integrate the vehicles with sensor suites ourselves.
Right.
Mostly they come pre-fitted with instrumentation,
Hmm.
but we can also do that. Once we get the vehicles, then we can set in motion all these steps that are needed to execute and put the miles on the vehicles, drive it around day night scenarios, various weather conditions, and then also do the route planning, which is another thing which is a little bit complicated that we do. So we are known in the industry already. The OEMs, tier ones, they already are aware of our capabilities, and then they know that there's a need. So if
Right.
you want to do the validation, and you got to do your validation of your ADAS systems, uh, you know, uh, not. And I want to add something also here, that we have a deep understanding of ISO 26262
Hmm.
standards, and how safety critical these components are. So that element also helps us with our customers to make sure that the data is safe. What we are providing to them, they can take it to the bank and and go forth and train their models or whatever they would like to do with it. Um, a- in addition to that, we are also a one-stop shop. If somebody wants to have a ADAS feature built, okay, we
Right.
will come in, and we although we are not a product company,
Right.
but we have the expertise to develop the product for a OEM or a tier one, from requirements to design to validation. So to so to speak, as a cradle to a grave kind of a situation.
Okay.
So yeah.
No, that's fascinating to hear the story. And Amir, so if somebody is listening to this, if they want to get started, would you like to point them to go in a particular direction to engage with Capgemini?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can get hold of me. I mean, or go to Capgemini website and they can go and get into the contacts. But one of the best ways would be to get hold of me. And we have global offices. So if you're in the United States, you can get hold of me. If you're in Germany or in France or any other parts of the world, there you can get on the Capgemini website and get yeah, go through the contact, and we'll
All
get
right.
back with you.
Excellent. Thank you for offering and expect thousands of emails to come following this episode. We will put the link in the with this episode as well, where people can go and click and get to the specific page around this offering. So, with that, we will conclude today's session. Amir, again, thank you very much for joining us today and giving us a great insights on the DASV offering with AWS. Thank you
Thank you
all.
very much. Thank you.